Okay, let's just start. Hey everyone, it's Lawrence Mack here, founder of Real Estate Rookies and Real Estate Broker out of Mississauga. And today we are going to talk about buyers. So I have a quick presentation here set up. So this course roughly maps the new agent bootcamp in EXP. And so every week there's a different topic. And this week it's buyers. So I'm just going to talk about these 5 things about buyers, and then after that, you guys can ask me questions about anything you want or any problems that you have, and I'm happy to answer anything. So first, let's just start with buyers versus sellers. The main thing that you have to try to do for a long-term business is really try to work with sellers versus buyers. Sellers, in general, if you've read a lot of books and a lot of education about working with buyers versus sellers, you'll find that sellers are so much better. Usually sellers, there's 2 transactions involved. There's the actual selling process, and then you help them buy. Versus if it's just like buyers, where there's just like one buy, which is one transaction. With listings, you can also leverage them for your advertising. It's a lot easier to advertise multiple times that something's for lease or for sale. And then you just, it's leased for sale, and then it's like pending, and then maybe close, and then firm, and then a nice testimonial, whatever it is. But with buyers, it's very difficult to do that. I mean, the best you could do is a social media post that says, I helped a client buy a house, and that's all you got. It's not very leverageable in that case. But, you work with what you have. The advantage with buyers typically is that the amount of money that you spend is low. So for listings, either you spend money on staging, marketing, all that kind of stuff. But with buyers, you just run around in your car pretty much, open up blog boxes, write up offers, that kind of thing. So a lot of beginners like buyers for that reason, because there's no cash outlay, but it's a lot harder for the closing deals with buyers. A lot of times I find it's because the buyers have a different, sense of motivation. So oftentimes you'll have people who are looking for investment properties or first-time buys or whatever it is, and then they look and then look, and then eventually they just don't buy, and there's nothing you can do. But when you're trying to sell a property, after they've gotten to the point where they've decluttered everything, cleaned everything, you've staged it, at that point, they're pretty much going to be selling the place unless they have a lot of other options. So it helps a lot. So that's really the advantage between buyers versus sellers. And that's why you always want to aim for listings. List to last is the saying, but you got to work with what you have. So that's my thing about buyers versus sellers. Next is pre-qualification. So for pre-qualification, the 2 things you want to figure out is really if they are motivated to buy something and if they have the ability to buy something. So from the financial point of view, if you don't know what they need, you really should learn roughly what they need to afford a place. Obviously have a network of partners for your mortgage people, so that you can just refer them, or you can ask them if they're pre-qualified, but get a sense for what their number is. Oftentimes buyers will do the calculation themselves, so they figure, okay, I make about this much money, I could afford a house that's like 600,000, but that may or may not be the case. You really need to get you can try to get a pre-qualification letter from the mortgage person, or really try to drill down to see if they've actually talked to it or if they've kind of winged it. Because if they kind of winged it, especially in this environment, when you're putting in multiple offers, it's not good because they may not be able to afford the properties that you're looking at, and then it's just a waste of your time and their time, but mostly your time. So be careful with the pre-qualification. And the second thing is really about motivation. Oftentimes, again, for first-time investors, I find especially, oftentimes they're not really motivated to buy. They just like the idea of buying, but they're not ready to pull the trigger. It's hard to tell that though with the investors, but with experience, you can sort of get that information. For the first time home buyers, same thing. You have to sort of get a sense to see how motivated they're ready to leave their parents' basement or leave the rental or that kind of thing. Get a sense for the amount of money that they can have and whether they're really ready to pull the trigger. Oftentimes they're not. I have a friend that's still living at home after 10 years. He makes good money, but he just, not ready. The value's not there. That kind of thing, waiting for the market to crash. These are things that I always hear. And when they start saying things like that, I know they're not really motivated. So to show those properties continuously is kind of a waste of time. So it's hard, right? It's hard to just tell them, hey, if you're not motivated, we're not going to go look at properties. But, at the end of the day, you may have to do something like that, especially if they're wasting a lot of your time by seeing a lot of properties and they're not really able or willing to close on it or to put in an offer for that matter. That's another way that you can tell. If at a certain point they never put any offers and all you're doing is looking at property, you got to sit them down and just say like, look, when are we going to put an offer? Like, when are you ready, or what will be required for you to put in an offer? You know, if they're waiting for that perfect 10 out of 10 kind of thing, I don't think it's going to happen, or at least their definition of 10 out of 10. Because there's probably some good properties out there that are 10 out of 10s in today's market, but not for the particular person, which is usually they want something at half the price and twice as big. And that doesn't make any sense. All right, that's my thing about pre-qualification. Next is BRA, Buyer's Representation Agreement. So you're going to hear a lot of things online about that you should always get a BRA signed. Your decision-making process here has to do with how you want to do your business. There's a full spectrum that you can do in terms of the BRA, right? Whether you want to force somebody to sign it before you see any property, or you're only signing right before an offer, or you want to sign it for each individual property. That decision is an individual decision. There's no right or wrong answer. So when someone says that you should always get a BRA signed, or you should never get a BRA signed, just show properties, you know, it's up to you. You have to make that decision. There's no right or wrong answer. So the spectrum that you have for the BRA is pretty much, if you're forcing them to sign a BRA, there's going to be a bunch of people that will not want to sign, but that would eventually lead to a sale. So that's like the pros and cons of trying to get the BRA signed at the beginning. The disadvantage of, you know, not getting a sign at the beginning is that there are another subset of people where you're going to show a lot of properties, and the very last minute, either they're going to go to a different realtor, or maybe they ask for like some type of discount or something like that, where you're forced to agree to their terms. And so on that end of the spectrum, it's also not good. But you're going to have to make a decision about what you feel comfortable with in terms of when you want to force the BRA or have them sign it, or to give them the benefits of the BRA. Like, you're not really forcing them to sign it. It's really about giving them the benefits. So if you can't really articulate the benefits of why they need to sign the BRA, then it's very difficult for them to sign the BRA, especially when you don't have it in your mind about the reason why they should sign the BRA, right? So these are things, again, they're a mindset issue, but you're going to have to figure out what you want to do. And again, there's no right or wrong answer. So don't feel bad if you never get a BRA signed, and don't feel bad if you only get a BRA signed if you want to show the property to them. Number 4, keep in touch systems. So when you have buyers, you need a method or a system to keep in touch with them, whatever that system is, because you're going to have a whole bunch of buyers. Most people aren't ready to buy the next week. You know, the process takes weeks or months or maybe years. So you need a method to keep in touch with them, whether it's by email or calling them, you know, once a week, calling them once a month, calling them once every quarter, whether you're just, you know, following up on them through text message or Facebook messages or Instagram, whatever you want to do. You need a method to follow up with them. Maybe you give them mailers. There's different, in the funnel, there's different places where a buyer is in the process, whether they're just kind of thinking about buying or they're ready to put an offer. If they're ready to put an offer, you probably should be in touch with them a lot more frequently, maybe every week or whatever, where you're either sending them more properties or, you know, you're talking with them to see how the showings went. If they're further up in the system where it's more like they want to move in 6 to 8 months, but they're not really ready, then it's a different type of keep in touch system. And that is maybe more about proof of your success, or giving them the odd, you know, listings or that kind of thing that might be interesting to them, but once in a while. If they're not really ready and they're thinking about, you know, moving sometime next year, I think getting listings every week is a little too much if you're emailing them directly. But having the system, for example, through Colab or Stratus or some other type of system like Agent Locator, where it sends them listings every day that they come up, that helps too, because it just keeps you top of mind. So whatever the system is, think about your system and then implement it. And lastly, just multiple offers. Working with buyers in today's environment is mostly working with multiple offers. So, I mean, we can talk about this later in the mastermind, but really it's to win in the multiple offers, you know, 99% of the time, honestly speaking, it's just going to be bring a lot of money. That's really the answer. All the other stuff, which is kind of cute, you know, a bigger deposit, whatever closing time you want, and, you know, we're going to write like a letter, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I guess it helps, but in every single instance when I was selling in multiple offers, it didn't matter. It was the price. And I would say every single instance in which we tried to buy a property in multiple offers, it was always highest price. So the difficulty here is in talking with your clients, because your clients are going to get these cute ideas that all these things can happen that doesn't require them to put a lot of money on the table or more money than they're comfortable with, right? That's usually the problem. Like, oh, hey, let's go tell them that we really enjoy their pool and let's just, write a letter about ourselves and let's just, give them whatever deposit they want or whatever it is. It's not that significant, but like, don't give your clients the false hope that that will help, because then you're just going to end up running around in circles. It's the same thing as when they're not as motivated to look for a particular property and everything isn't good enough for them. Like, you just can't really give them the illusion that that is today's reality in today's marketplace. Like, maybe in a different one, but they're just like, oh, hey, do you think the market's going to drop by 50%? And then do you think that they're going to do this? And like, yeah, I think they are, but like realistically, they're probably not going to. And if the market drops, I mean, a few percentage, 5%, maybe 10%, right? So now for a 600,000 property, drops like 30,000, maybe. Like, it's not going to drop 300,000. So that is more about client management. It's not that easy to do because some people really don't want to believe what the reality is. So it depends on how hard you want to be. If you want to be harsh reality or not, that's up to you. But it's just hard to sort of string them along continuously and say, yeah, that perfect property is out there and I help you get it. But really, it's very, very far off from what the market expectations are. So that's what I would have to say about multiple offers. And I guess that's all I have to say about, that's my quick presentation. So let's do a mastermind time if there's any questions. So let's just put that. Does anybody have any questions about anything?
Yes.